Happy Johnny Appleseed Day, and welcome back to the Sandlot Cast 2021 edition, week 3, almost all the way through. It's Johnny Appleseed is a repeat, by the way. I remember saying that before and thinking, what in the world? Anyway, with me this week, as usual, I've got Nick. What's going on, Nick?
Hey, Meryl. What's up?
And Hillers. How you doing, Hillers?
Peace. Peace and love.
Peace and love, sure. Just a quick hitter here on the podcast. We're just going to run through some teams, initial impressions, if our thoughts have changed on them, and maybe if our thoughts have changed on season-long predictions for divisions too. So that said, you guys got anything you want to get off your chest before we get into each team?
Yeah, man. My thoughts have changed on the nature of football and math, and what just cause and effect writ large. I feel like the only things that you can rely on anymore is that banking on the Chiefs is a frustratingly successful strategy for touchdown Jesus, and that the wounded ducks
this week
are a pile of steaming hot shit that is just terrible and will always be terrible. And in between that, who knows? It's chaos. Flip a coin. Maybe you're a champion. I've lost all faith in players. I don't know who's supposed to be good anymore. Anywhere.
I don't know. I think we got 5 or 6 teams that are halves, and I think there's a top half and a bottom half in this league currently.
Well, like in all relationships, it's bound to be so. But damned if I can predict it anymore.
You think top half, bottom half, Nick?
I do too. I don't even think it's top half. I think it's like top quarter, bottom 3/3, bottom.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there is no middle teams? There's got to be a mediocre team in there. There's so many 2-1 teams. Some of them have to be fine.
I think it's
what the next week.
Yeah, I just think it's hard to say which is the best of the good teams and which is the worst of the bad teams. Well, maybe the second one's not as hard.
I mean, it's only been 3 weeks, right? So
yeah,
it takes a couple of weeks for the players to even figure out if they're any good, like let alone figuring out what the fantasy analysis is. So it's hard to judge right now. But what we can judge is looking at the players across the board on your teams, which is looking at your all play, looking at the depth of the players on the benches. Like, okay, I might not know who to start on a week in, week out basis, but the fact that I have a decision to make is a good sign.
Yep. Okay. So let's start with the Assassins.
They as we normally do.
Yeah.
We should really look at these orders sometimes. Like we hit a randomizer, so that way everyone, because we know, okay, we're going to talk about Brad for about 2 minutes because no one has anything to say about that. So like you can actually figure out that
you suck, Brad.
I only have 8 minutes to hear my solo segment because everyone always goes in the order. Sorry.
No, but I mean,
and Red.
To our themed point, right? If there is a mediocre team that might poke their little head up and do some damage, but also could be horrible, this is probably the team for me.
Yeah, they're 2-1. Looks like they're about to be 2-2 because they're going down to you this week, Nick. They put up a terrible week with 92 points this week, so not their best.
Well, it's not terrible though. 70 points is terrible.
It's going to
90
definitely
points
affect
is just
all
bad. It's just bad. All right.
Yeah, I think
92 is the kind of score where you look at the all play and it's like, oh, I went from 15-7
to plummet.
Now I'm going to blow 500.
So what do you think of the Assassins, Nick? Where do you have has your opinion changed on these guys? What's your current thoughts on these guys?
I guess the better. I don't know. I think that they're actually, so the TLDR of this is I really think that they're Tyler Lockett dependent. I think that he made it through the first 2 weeks because of the absolute monster games that Tyler Lockett was putting up. And if he had any kind of a traditional numbers the first 2 weeks, he probably wouldn't have been as good as he was in the records in the standings. So I think it's most of his points came from Tyler Lockett, who again, and I think that that's just what it came down to. How did he do today?
Bad.
So he got 7 points. 7 points today,
and he got hurt. Lockett got hurt too.
Okay.
Lockett being hurt is terrible news for this team because otherwise this team is a walking yawn. It is terrible. There's nothing to. I mean, it's not terrible because he has guys he can start, and it's a reasonable start, and you would never be mad at it. Like you're never gonna be, kick like a Calvin Ridley out of bed for eating crackers. But yeah, in 3 weeks in, it's looking like the point threshold for having like a stud on your team is like a little bit over 50 points. And the only one that he has that meets that brief is Tyler Lockett. So if he is hurt, what are you going to do? Rely on football team? A $34 Terry McLaurin to save your season? No.
I think Terry McLaurin's plenty good. I wouldn't mind relying on him.
He's plenty good. I'd love to have him on my team, but like, if that's the only thing you got going,
well, he's got Calvin. He's got Calvin Ridley too. I mean, he's the strongest part of this team was his receivers for sure. The main reason is Jonathan Taylor's been underperforming. Jonathan Taylor was a first round pick this year for a lot of leagues, if not early second round. He was thought to be an RB1 that folks could rely on, and that's not happening. And so because that's not happening, he doesn't really have a great RB2 either. He's had to rely on his receivers. And
he doesn't have a great RB1.
And just to throw this out there, these are Jonathan Taylor's schedule for the next couple of weeks is at Dolphins, at Ravens, versus the Texans, which are surprisingly decent, at 49ers, versus the Titans, and then you get the Jets, Jaguars.
I'm not too scared of that.
No, but this was a team.
It is when Carson Wentz is your quarterback, and you don't like. People are basically without having watched a lot of Colts games, I feel like teams are stacking the box and saying we'll let
Jacob Eason. Jacob Eason, try and beat us. Jacob
Eason. You beat me. I'm going to let this guy beat me, but we're not going to let Jonathan Taylor beat
This is a team that needed Darrell Henderson and Jonathan Taylor to be scary, and they aren't, and it's not.
Yeah, and Calvin Ridley's been fine.
I
mean, but he was supposed to be a top 5 receiver with potential to be the best receiver in fantasy football this year.
And there's a lot of season to go. There's plenty of season to go.
But if these receivers don't pull through, this team's going to struggle. So yeah, they're a middle of the road team probably right now. I probably had them a little higher than what they're performing to right now as far as what I thought of them for the year. But
Daniel Jones though.
Do you
Daniel Jones though? Sure.
I think Daniel Jones is going to Blake Bortles his way into a good season.
Just to say something funny.
Sure.
Jones.
So anyway,
I mean, Daniel, you don't need to be a good NFL quarterback to be a good fantasy quarterback.
True.
Yeah.
Facts.
Dad Dicks, our next team. Dad Dicks we're 2-1 coming into this week, and are going to likely beat the Duplex. Oh yeah, they're going to beat the Duplex.
Yeah, Duplex is
the Gazebo, whatever they are. So
we'll get onto it, but
so they'll be 3-1.
Not a high bar.
Putting up some good points. A lot of it down to Tom Brady being still somehow awesome.
What the fuck is that?
Hiller's looking at the Dad Dicks. Any thoughts on these guys that's new or profound?
Hate Tom Brady. Yeah, well, the thing about Dad Dicks that it enrages me every time I think about it was how badly all of us slept on Jamal Williams. That it was so easily, noticeable as a value pick, and no one got it. And he got a lot of guys that had way more value than we were thinking. He could use some work on his receivers, but everybody there is solid. He's got at least 3 solid starters week to week on the receivers. So I honestly think that this is a team that has some potential to really be like sort of wild card or like, swinging for some prizes this year.
Yeah. Nick?
Hot take. He has great wide receivers. I would be fine with just about any of his receivers that he has.
Yeah, not a hot take, just a fact.
And I'm okay with Jamal. And I guess that Jamal Williams, I guess that's kind of good for him that he got him. Sure.
Yeah, sure. He's fine for his RB3 or 4, basically.
Sure. And it's $1. He picked him up for nothing, and he's going to be a main dude through there.
He's not a main dude. I don't know what that means, but he's not a main dude.
He's a main dude.
Yeah, I would actually take the reverse on that and say that his depth is a little bit questionable. Basically, his depth is the depth is a little bit questionable, and are his running backs something that he's really happy with?
What? Okay.
I think, yeah. So the concern, I think, the first couple weeks with this was the running backs, right? Is Antonio Gibson actually going to bust out this year like people thought? And
Najee Harris is, though.
Well, and Najee struggled in the first
game.
First game he struggled. Second game he was good, but yeah.
These notes were written earlier in the week, so like Najee had one good game, and now that he's had two good games, it's like, okay, Pittsburgh's maybe not getting right, but they at least are getting back to their ways.
Well,
of running
yeah, and the other concern was Jamar Chase, who looks to be the real deal, a main dude, if you will.
He's not all droppy that they were saying he was in the preseason. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He's nailed on number one
drop, if you will,
for 3 weeks.
So old droppy. So CeeDee Lamb, DeAndre Hopkins, Jamar Chase. That's a pretty sick set of receivers right there. And with Brady being the stud, and if Gibson and Harris stay healthy, he's fine. If one of those guys goes down, I mean, you can say this about a lot of teams. If they lose one of their star running backs, they're in trouble. But he hasn't, and they're good. So
I don't think he is. I disagree with you guys on the depth of this team. Like I hate to say it, but Grimes, this could be a championship team. It seems like it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I just think if Najee or Antonio Gibson go down, who are you starting? And as much as you love Jamal Williams, he's not their main dude in Detroit.
He's getting there. He's working on
it. He's not. I don't know what that means either. But
he's a main side piece, is what he means.
Sure.
Yeah. Hot side piece.
So, all right. He's fine. All right. So, yeah, Grimes be good again. Nothing to worry about.
Hot side piece of the week, Jamal
Williams. / main dude. Wounded Ducks are our next team. Wounded Ducks came in 0-2, and they are in a slobber knocker with Patty Van Winkle this week. Could go any way. Looks like it's probably going Patty's way. Which will put Patty at 4-0 this year, which we'll get to later.
Oh my God!
And the Wounded Ducks will be 0-4, I guess. Hillers, will this team win a game?
What can I say about this team that hasn't already been said about Afghanistan? It looks burned out and depleted.
Too soon.
We
apologize to all of our Afghani listeners out there.
Yeah, come on, man.
Well, that was a classic joke from Dave Chappelle's player haters ball. They made that exact joke.
Oh, throwing Dave Chappelle under the bus now. I see. Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's him.
Yeah, okay.
It's him.
Yeah, if someone has to take the bullet for this, it's going to be Dave Chappelle. It won't be me. But, Mike Williams looks fucking awesome.
He does.
This is the year.
I'm going to be positive here. Mike Williams looks like one of the league's top receivers at $10. Nice. Good job. As far as the rest of this, I hope you're happy that you screwed with all of us on your A.J. Dillon thing and we let Jamal Williams go for $1 because the rest of this team is bad. It's real bad. And it's going to keep being bad into the future.
I don't know. I think starting off 0-3, potentially 0-4, 0-3.5 based on the conversation right now. It's tough, but I'm pretty sure he can. There's still a lot of salvageable pieces on this. He's his running backs are still Myles Gaskins, Miles Sanders, Zach Moss.
The Miles,
yeah.
Miles.
I mean, Zach Moss started off slow because he was benched. He was a healthy scratch the first week, but so there's another running back. He'll get Michael Thomas back soon enough-ish.
What would you do if you were this team? What would you do if you were this team, Nick?
I think I would try to play the waivers a little bit more and see what I can salvage out of the season and give it another week or two, and then see if I can start trading off some of these. Trading off your Robert Woods.
For what? Robert Woods is.
You're
selling
on the season so far, Robert Woods.
You're selling at his absolute floor is the problem.
Maybe, yeah. So I don't know. I think he just has to weather the storm. I think he just has to see what happens and hope that this is the last week of. I don't know.
He went from having an untradeable superstar Michael Thomas to having an untradeable superstar Mike Williams, but it's exactly the same team.
I mean, he'll get Michael Thomas back eventually. I don't know. I think that it's just
maybe.
So I'm looking back at my preseason notes for this team, and I said he could have the best wide receivers in the league when Thomas comes back, with Woods, Thomas, and Galladay. And that take has not held up because Woods has been average at best. Michael Thomas obviously has been hurt and might be great when he comes back. Jameis Winston looks like he's pretty good. But Golladay looks like a big whiff for the Giants. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's
oh yeah, he really does.
So those wide receivers aren't working out. And then the other thing I said is he needs Etienne and Miles Sanders to pop. Well, Etienne popped all right. His knee popped.
Popped that leg right off.
So there's Miles Sanders, I guess, who's been 17-6, and we'll see what he does this week.
15 attempts and 13 attempts.
But I wouldn't call that popping.
Terrible.
So I don't know. No. He bought some young guys. He's got some some keeper prices here on some of these guys. So it's a next year team for sure.
Right.
Amon-Ra St. Brown still all name team next year. So
yeah, I mean maybe there's some moves at the trade deadline. Maybe he can dump.
He'll probably keep that name. So all name team.
Maybe he can dump Michael Thomas at the trade deadline. I don't know what you do. Maybe you don't dump Thomas though because you got him for pretty cheap if he's great. So.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you do to fix this? It's so hard. He's in a very difficult situation.
Yeah, so I think he stays the course, sees how it goes, and it's a long-term plan for him. So we'll see.
Yep.
Next team. Hiller Shitloot. Hiller Shitloot is 1-2 coming into this week. Looks like you're going to get to 2-2.
Yep.
And Nick,
very meh.
What are your thoughts on old Hiller Shitloot?
So again, it's still I think that it's still too soon to tell, just because again, week 3 and all. I guess my question is, now that we have had another week of this, what are you had a lot coming in riding on Allen Robinson. How do you feel that is paid out for you through 3 weeks, Pillars?
I feel like of all my receivers, all that I can believe in going forward is that Shenault has not paid out like I wanted. For the rest of them, I'm kind of pumped. Like, for the prices I have Kirk and Patterson and Pittman at, I feel like I have a strong slate of number 2 wide receivers, but I don't know if I have the number 1 that I wanted out of Robinson, which is sad. But maybe a buy low opportunity if anybody wants to trade. Hit me up.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts, Nick?
I mean, going on just what he said, like, okay, well, Allen Robinson isn't your number 1. Based on what you have right now.
He was supposed to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of things change, though. Like, okay, so he's no longer even in your lineup. You have Patterson, Kirk,
No, he started Robinson this week.
I'm saying, you don't know.
I might not going forward, though. I might not going forward, yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that it's too soon to tell. NFL teams, like, my note actually here is that NFL teams are finally starting to gel a little bit. So we're starting to see who these actual weapons are and where teams are going with them. So now we'll actually be able to see what the value is this year. But to your point, Hillers, even with your team the way it is, like, sure, you're going to win this week, but you're beating Andy. Like,
right. Team sucks. I don't think I'm a good team, but I will say I'm still making moves. I'm still, working angles. I'm still looking at trades. I'm still looking at the waiver wire. I can't believe a guy like Patterson, with how he's shaping up, where he's slotted as a wide receiver in fantasy, but he's kind of doing half duty as a wide receiver running back. I was shocked, that I got him at $1. Like, no, to get Kirk, so cheap. There's still moves to be made, and if your team is bad, I would consider, I would encourage you strongly to be like, keep on it, because the early part of the season is where you'll get the values that next year people will be like, how the hell does that guy have this guy at this amount of money? But having said that, I'm damn near a fire sale already. I think this team there's no way it wins the title, right? It's just too mediocre. There's some hope, maybe. But and there are high points. The Walrus nailed in. Joe Mixon for $1 billion that I'm paying for him is at least fine. This week looked like James Robinson. Maybe he's not the worst, which fingers crossed. But I just don't see it happening for this team, especially with what the hell is going on with Patty. Like,
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, there's two. Well, I guess maybe it's three things you have going for you. One is your division. So yeah, you could luck your way into a divisional win, beat some of the, I mean, like a 9-8, or a 10-7. Maybe like a 9-8 could win this division for sure. I mean, although Patty's off to a great start, so we'll see. But you got that going for you. The other thing you have going for you is if it does go downhill, you've got Allen Robinson and Joe Mixon, who are two sell to win this year candidates, win now guys that you can dump for hurt keepers or keepers that are not going to be helpful.
Good prospect. Good prospects.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have that going for you too. As far as the guys, I mean you've picked up some good kind of upside guys. I guess I don't think Patterson's anyone you're going to want to. Nobody wants to rely on Patterson, which is why you got him for $1. It's not whatever. Christian Kirk, we've seen it before. Like, this is what Kirk does. He shows up a couple games, he disappears, he gets hurt. He's, I don't know. The two guys that you had here were Mixon and Robinson, and they've been okay. Mike Davis has kind of been a little less than what we expected.
A disappointment.
Yeah, but I don't know. Your team's not as bad as. I don't think it's fire sale time for you, honestly. I think this team can be. If Allen Robinson turns it around, all of a sudden you've got a top QB in Herbert, you've got a top running back in Mixon, and you could have a wide receiver one in Robinson and a top tight end. Like, I don't know. I don't think you're in fire sale mode, but
I'm gonna keep fighting. You know me.
Yeah.
I even when I'm fire sailing, I'm still got my eye on.
Yep. So, next team is CTR. Cyborg Tony Romo came into the week at 2-1. In a slobber knocker with me right now. Looks like they're probably going to beat me, so it'll probably be 3-1.
Good.
I'll say coming in, I said, he didn't need much out of the draft. He went for good values and he got them. I mean, he's basically starting the keepers he had, and they're still good. He did lose A.J. Brown. I'm not sure what A.J. Brown's injury is, but he got hurt today, so I'm not sure what that means for him going forward.
Yeah, whatever. Nothing.
He's got guys he can plug in, but he also lost Deontay Johnson, potentially, who's already banged up. So his wide receivers have started taking hits. I think he can sustain it. My big concern with this team is George Kittle, who's been just one of the guys. Yeah. He's been a just a guy, like tight end for this year. Like, I don't know what's going on with that, but I think you give it another week or two before you hit the panic button on him and have to look elsewhere. But yeah, that's something that concerns me. Nick, what do you think about old CTR?
I think actually you hit the nail on the head. I think that actually now is the time. If we want to make sure that CTR doesn't win again, doesn't repeat or whatever you want to call it, now is the time that teams need to. Not that we have much control over it, right? But if you're going to now's the time to gain a lead on him, so that way he can't catch up to you. You need to hit him now while he's on the ropes. Because as soon as this team gets together and starts healing or starts moving, starts flowing, I think that's going to be a problem. But to your pay, I think that the biggest question mark is Kittle right now. Depending on how he does tonight. Are you really? That could be the first kink in his armor of okay, he lost. Kittle's not the guy that he needs him. So this isn't so much to say about Roscoe's team as much as it is that the league itself needs to use this opportunity to beat him while you can. I know it sounds silly, but now is the time that we can that if we're going to make sure he doesn't get the playoffs, it's going to be in this little stretch right now. Yep. And he's still what 2 and 1.5.
He's going to be 3-1, most likely 3-1.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Hillers, what do you?
I mean, for me, this team looks more beatable than it has in previous years, but it's still a team with such strong studs, as you mentioned, and enough pluggable guys in that even though this wide receiver core is looking very meh, you know what I mean? It's really a question for me. And this third week kind of gave me a little bit more clarity, but I'm like, what are we expecting out of Aaron Jones, right? Because he went 4 points and then 40 points. You know what I mean? It's and that's a massive swing, right? And it really is, kind of showing you, Kamara, he had a very kind of week 2 at 7 points, but it's you can kind of see that he's still going to be like a top guy and instantly pluggable. And the thing about Cyborg Tony Romo that was always so scary in previous seasons is that he kind of went a little bit of a studs and duds strategy, but just had enough free agent money and enough like secondary guys where if one of them went down, it wasn't like devastating to him. I don't know why it just seems a little bit more beige this year. Like a regular team could come in and get one on him on a given week. I kind of thought you would maybe take one off him this week.
Yeah, well, Devontae Adams just caught one on the 1 yard line and went down. So yay, touchdown, Aaron Jones incoming. Everybody get ready.
Right. So it's like it's a great team. It's one of the league's top teams. It's one of the scariest teams, but. Not a Colossus, not like an unbeatable Thanos.
Oh, he passed it in. Yes! Aaron Rodgers hubris for the win.
Aaron Rodgers, you fucking chaotic, egotistical mess.
Agent of chaos. What I will say is, I'm a little concerned about Kamara.
Yes.
Like I think he'll be good.
Should be a medium amount at least.
I think he'll be good, but that offense, I still don't know what to think of that offense right now. And Jameis Winston has looked pretty good so far, I think. So that's good, but I feel like it's only a matter of time until he just starts chucking it to the other team nonstop.
Yeah. Chaos reigns.
And
yes.
And he doesn't check down as much as like Breeze does, maybe. So, but at the same time, there's no other option in that offense right now. So it kind of has to run through him. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. I think
it's okay. Through 3 weeks now, it's 18.7 points and 20 points. Like you're as concerned as you can be for someone who has, almost 60 points on the 50 points on the season. Like you're doing well, but it's not. He's not having through 3 weeks. He hasn't had that Kamara game.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway. But yeah, he's going to be fine. This is definitely a team. This is a have. We talked about before this podcast. So there's haves and have-nots. This is a have. I mean, he's going to be there.
For sure.
He's going to be competing. So
Wait, is Winston again available on the waivers? Does no one believe in Jameis Winston?
Nobody believes in Jameis Winston. No.
I mean, you shouldn't. I don't. But like, it's weird with how many points he has that everyone's like.
But there's one team every season that come like week 9 where it's like, maybe Jameis. Maybe he's gonna get me there.
Maybe he's the answer.
Well, will this finally be the QB of the future, like they've been saying since 2009?
He's been pretty good, right, guys? Right, everybody, right, guys, right?
Again, you don't need to be a good NFL quarterback to be a good fantasy quarterback.
I mean, he's no Tua Tagliova or whatever.
Right.
Who the Wooden Ducks still have on their roster, despite the fact that he both sucks and is out for the year.
He's not out for the year. First of all,
well, a long time.
Good burn though. Like 3 weeks probably, I think it is. But and he's building for the future too. So I wouldn't,
Maybe you should build some Jameis Winston into that future.
Yeah, there you go. Next team is Patty Van Winkle. Here we go.
Oh my God.
Buckle up, everybody. Patty Van Winkle undefeated and looking like they're going to be 4-0 in this crazy season. All play coming into this week was 9-13, so under 500, but was 3-0. So hey, look, there's one of these teams every year that that doesn't score a lot, but they run into some good schedule luck, and maybe this is his year. Patty's had some bad schedule luck in the past too, where I think it was last year, or the year before, where he scored a lot and got very unlucky schedule wise. So maybe it's his turn to be on the other side of that. But looking at his team, I mean, a lot of it's working out. God, this running backs. I mean, this week,
what a fucking disaster this running back core
Kenneth
is.
Gainwell and Latavius Murray started this week at running back, and this team's undefeated.
I mean, to his credit, he did have 3 weeks ago. His running backs looked really good. Well, not really good. His running backs were clearly a lot better 3 weeks ago. He got crushed by injuries, and he's kind of had to keep piecing this together to the best he can. And it seems like everyone, he's just grasping at straws now. It's like, this guy got the ball. I need a running back. So he's playing the waivers, hoping that someone's going to pick up. So it sucks, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you keep rolling Josh Allen out there and hope he gets you 35 points a week because that guy's a stud.
Yep. That is the one No, not the one dude. Thielen and Metcalf are also studs. And if this team is living or dying, it's on its wide receivers. But let's not miss.
I mean, that's what's going to keep him competitive.
This
That's what's
team
going to
sucks.
keep him competitive.
This
Like it's going to be
team
Josh
sucks.
Allen, and it's going to be the other game. It's going to be his wide receivers that keep him.
Other people that he plays week to week have sucked more, but on balance, team is bad. There's no way this wins a title with the lineup as is. No way. Zero chance.
What do you do? What do you do if you're Patty?
Nothing. I mean, you can trade. What you can do is you can move potentially some of your. You need to move your wide receivers. You need to move wide receiver to try to get a running back.
Yeah,
It's so hard to do because everybody's got like almost everybody has wide receivers.
Yeah, it is. I'm saying that's the best thing that you can do.
no, but like he has
Find
some dialed in studs, and if he would get a second quarterback, like you could even put Allen into a trade like that and maybe get some eyebrows raised.
You can't trade Allen. That's no.
I mean,
And without Allen,
I'd like to have a guy like
It falls apart. It's not this team doesn't fall apart,
I
but
don't
this
know about
team
you,
is
You'd
relying
like to
on
what?
Allen and his wide receivers.
What did you say, Hills?
I said I'd like to have a guy like Josh Allen on my team.
Well, so
Like,
would Patty. That's why he's not going to trade him.
Right, but like I don't understand why he doesn't have two quarterbacks. But that's a personal preference.
Because he
We've
has
talked about
Josh Allen. Why would he have a second quarterback?
yeah, all right. Well, but he's got 4-5 wide receivers that I think have appeal in the trade market, and his running backs are not yet so terrible that they're untradeable. If he leaves it 2 more weeks and they all continue at their current pace, they'll all be untradeable garbage.
But here's
So
the question.
I'm
What
right
running back
with-
would you,
I'm
what
right
running back
with
would
Nick.
you even want of his?
Who has running backs to spare for these wide receivers? Who has them? Who has a running back they can spare to get Adam Thielen? Like, they're not out there.
Yeah,
They're-
you're kind of right. Like I'd be putting guys like that he wouldn't want in that trade,
Yeah,
like
there's-
Carter or Davis. Like not my top 2.
No, they're
you know what I mean?
waiver wire fodder. Like, no, that's yeah.
Well, not for me. I'm so bad.
Yeah, so I mean, this team it feels like smoke and mirrors, mainly because the running back is just
Oof!
it's a smoking crater, is what it is.
Oh my god! I think some teams might have running backs that by themselves will have the point total of this entire running back core.
But to Nick's point, it's through no fault of Patty because he had J.K. Dobbins, he had Josh
Right.
Jacobs, and he had Gus Edwards.
Oh, you guess? I mean, he tried to handcuff himself, and
Yeah,
and,
it was like
and injuries blew right past
He does have
into a
Josh
third
Jacobs
thing.
too, so I mean,
he still has Jacobs down there, right? So
Take him, like him or hate him, like he still has that. It's just he's being.
Everybody hates him though, and he's out. Which I mean,
But if he picks up, running back goes down, Patty throws all his fab at some, a handcuff maybe that's out there or something.
that's what he needs to be doing is sharking that waiver wire hard.
So
Yeah,
anyway, we don't think it's gonna last, but who knows? Stranger things, right?
yeah, illusions.
All right, Weenye is next. Speaking of smoke and mirrors.
This one isn't an illusion at all. It's exactly what it looks like.
All right, Nick, go.
It's funny for how much he hates the Ravens, how reliant his team is on him.
And the Niners, by the way. And the Niners.
Yeah, like,
So many Ravens.
Look how many Niners he has on his team.
it is funny.
Oh my goodness.
He has 5 Niners and 4 Ravens, I think. So 9 people on his team are on 2 different teams.
Oh my.
It's-
Oh my.
yeah, I mean,
I need
But anyway,
teams are the Chiefs.
That aside, real life football teams aside, what do we make of this?
I mean, it's tough. Like, it's just bad luck. It's tough. Like, it's just my notes are just Nick Chubb is the only non-Maryland piece on this team. I honestly think that for as much shit as we gave Andy before about having the great team leading the draft, like I think we can give him equal shit this season about how bad this team is. I don't know why, and I don't know how he did this. I don't know how he just lucked his way into a horrible team this year.
I cannot believe what you have done here.
Well, I was listening to our because I was listening back to our preseason podcast, and because I was drunk when we did it, I don't remember all of it. I went pretty hard on Andy about his wide receivers, and I was basically like, "What happened to you, Andy? Who hurt you?" You know, like
you used to be cool.
I was like, I went pretty hard at him about how I thought this. I didn't get the receiver core; it didn't make sense to me. It's not even one of those things like, I get why people like it. It's just not for me. Those things are out there.
Right.
Like,
right.
it's not even that. Like, this is just. What are you doing?
What are you thinking about here, man? Let's walk me through it.
Like, I mean, Chubb and Saquon, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Sign me up. But
I mean, $94 between the two of them, and $60, $70 between the other two.
I don't care about the money.
They better be good, and they're not. They're not as good.
It's just you need a receiver, and he just doesn't have one. He doesn't have one. He doesn't have a receiver.
No, he was really banking on a lot of guys that had excellent preseason hype to live up to their to their billing, and the only one that has done so to date is Marquise Brown off the Ravens. But I think he needed guys like Robbie Anderson and guys like Brandon Ayuk to be a thing, and he needed Michael Gallup to go back to being a main piece and a main guy.
He never. What do you mean go back to? He was never a main guy.
Yeah, well, okay, well,
he's the third. He's the third, if not fourth guy on that offense.
And he was thinking Kyle Pitts was gonna be one of those must-have top-tier tight ends, and he put a ton of money into Sermon and Elijah Mitchell, and it just has not gone well.
I am very thankful that I did not get in that I did not win the Elijah Mitchell with my fab.
Yeah,
I mean, his whole board is where you don't want to be in an auction draft where you're putting this amount of money up for these guys, and he got them all. He put them all in.
I know Andy's a savvy fantasy owner. He always makes great decisions.
Yes.
It's but this year, and you know how a lot of times you got to hit rock bottom before things turn around, right?
Mm-hmm.
This might be rock bottom for the Wingate this year.
I mean, ooh, God. I've never before had a week where I was oh, I'm playing Andy. Despite the fact that I hate my team, I'm going to win.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's always oh, God, I got to play Andy. His team's so good.
Yeah,
I don't want to play that team.
God. Usually it's a devastating hurdle. And I'd be all right, well, this is just a gimme week. It's going to be all season with this team. They're bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't need to pile on too much here. But, Nick, any final thoughts? We good?
Another thing about Andy's team.
You're bad, Andy. And you're bad and you should feel bad.
All right.
Hitmen are next. Hitman 2-1 coming in. Likely to be 2-2. And just lost Christian McCaffrey for a few weeks.
Again? Why won't he stay healthy for you?
So, yeah.
Why?
Anyway, Hillers, thoughts?
Love your team. I think it's a super strong team. I think maybe, we've said this a few years, but this is among the teams that I would consider championship caliber teams, even if Christian McCaffrey never came back. DeAndre Swift is panning out, I think, much better than expectations. You don't have a mega strong, you don't have a second RB1, but you have, several guys that are very easily inputable. And you've got the best player in the league right now through 3 weeks in Cooper Kupp. And despite the fact that none of the other receivers have quite measured up for that, I could easily see you putting in Will Fuller a week or Julio Jones of a week and them going off for 30, 40 points. I mean, it's not a perfect team. You could do a lot better in your tight end situation, but where you are right now, I think with Kyler Murray doing as well as he is and some of your studs still doing quite well, I mean, obviously the Christian McCaffrey situation is good, but if you can just go half and half while he's out, I can easily see you being a devastating second half opponent.
I don't even think you need to go half and half. I'm not even worried about that. You're going to potentially lose by 3 points to CTR with Christian McCaffrey getting hurt and only putting up 6 points. You have the points on your bench that you could have beat if you had.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I don't think that there's actually CMC being hurt actually doesn't hurt you as much as you probably think it does. If you think it bothers you at all.
No, it does. It does.
It's that peace of mind of knowing that.
I've got 25 points a week out of one roster spot every week.
Let's not undersell it. That is a nailed-on number one running back.
You cannot overstate how good Christian McCaffrey is a fantasy
You
football.
cannot.
I can't.
But,
No, but
but
you
he's
have
not
the
out
other
for the
pieces,
year.
but your other pieces are good enough that your team isn't built around. But you need Christian McCaffrey. You need Christian McCaffrey to score 20 points every week in order to be competitive. Like your team is stacked enough that even if he puts up 6 points, you're still competitive in the game.
That's what's so remarkable about your team, I think, is like Christian McCaffrey, probably, consensus number one player in fantasy. You've had him keeper three years in a row, and we're still thinking you can get some wins out of the stretch where he's out of your lineup. That's a reasonably strong team. It's like it's crazy, and I don't even know what you can even say about Cooper Kupp. You remember how outraged I was that receivers are going for over $30? I was wrong. I mean, this guy. What can you even say? You know what I mean? He's got a very easy schedule thus far in terms of like pass defense, but Jesus, 90 points? Come on.
I love him so much.
He's so good.
You mentioned tight end, and this is more to speak to this tight end position overall. It's a fucking dumpster fire out there. Like it is.
Truly.
Like we thought, all right. Well, there's Kelsey, who's amazing, right? He's tier 1, and then below that you've got Waller probably, and then Kittle, and then like Mark Andrews, right, is like a step below them, and then maybe like a Hawkinson and Pitts, and then they all like. I mean, it's Kelsey and Waller's been good, and then it's just shit. It's just shit. It's not like Gronk is actually great, I guess. Gronk's been great.
Gronk is a thing again.
But like he's a guy like at any point. I mean, he was hurt today. Like he gets banged up, man. Like he's not a guy. Sure, I'd rather have him than just about any other tight end in the league right now. Sure, but like it's a wasteland out there. Like there's nothing. You say you could get better at tight end. How? Where am I getting one?
You got to make some trades. Yeah,
you're not trading with me, Waller, right?
I'll give you Gerald Everett, but
Gerald Everett's the same as Evan Ingram. They're the same.
I'm gonna do something that I hate to do, and give a shout out to Pritchard because T.J. Hawkinson has 2 weeks at least under his belt that are like, is that?
Yeah, Hawkinson's probably the guy who's going to maybe exceed expectations or at least meet them this year. He's been great, and that's a lot because Detroit has nobody else to go to. But
right, because it's a desperation.
But sure, Hawkinson's great. Okay, that's a third. It's.
I mean, maybe great. That's
it's
even
Kelsey Waller.
That's not a nailed on great. That's like a maybe.
It's Kelsey Waller, Hawkinson, and then what? And then a giant pile of shit. Like it's like there's not like okay, just pack it up, wipe it up. This is it. Tight end's over.
Talk to Dave.
I've talked to Dave. Well, I tried to talk to Dave. He doesn't really respond, so.
He doesn't like you.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thinks you smell
the CMC, it sucks, but I'll probably lose 10 to 15 points a week from it. Hopefully I can withstand that, and we'll see. TDJ/Chiefs. They are next. TDJ comes in at 3-0, but going to be 3-1 after this week, it looks like.
Yeah.
Really, really mediocre week from TDJ this week. 97 points. Because the Chiefs didn't perform here.
Sad tale.
Nick, what do we see long term here for Pritchard?
We joked before, like how many points up do you need to be on Pritchard
before the Chiefs play?
Before the Chiefs play, and you feel comfortable. And we jokingly said like you have to be up like 100 points, and then that week it was like.
Was it joking though? Was it joking?
I mean, it was like you think that was like 100 points. So that was the first number that you think of, and then it's like that week, like his players put up like a 90 points, and like we did the math where there are leagues out there where if you had Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill, you would have scored like that's 100 points that 3 of them would have put up in that week to be able to that's what you had to be up. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean, do you see that working? I mean, obviously it's worked before, I guess, but like. I mean, is it going to work this year? The Chiefs are now 1-2. They seem to be underperforming a little bit.
Yep.
Do we think it's going to work again for him?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the one that I would be like mentally upset about, right? Because that's the guy that you think is going to be, your number one nailed on running back. Your dude, your main dude.
Played 60 plus for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
For 2 years in a row.
And I mean, he's been playing like an RB3. And I would be like, is that gonna continue? Like I'm not gonna be too worried when you have guys like Moore and Hill and Mahomes and Hawkinson and a few other people on your team. Like you can obviously take a couple of punches, but how many? You know what I mean? In the playoffs, you only need to lose once, and this isn't looking quite as indomitable, undefeatable a team off of Chiefs as it was in prior years. In large part due to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was like, when's he gonna get there?
Yeah, it's Hawkinson, by the way, this week, 3 points, 2 catches for 10 yards. So
could be an illusion.
It could be. I mean, it could just be a bad week. Yeah. Sure. The Edwards-Helaire thing, it's weird. Yeah, I think everybody saw him coming out and they thought, well, here's Kareem Hunt, Kareem Hunt part 2. Let's go, and it's just not happened. Like, and I don't know why it is. He's not a huge part of the passing game. He had 100 rushing yards today and a touchdown and still only scored 16 points. Right. Like, there's just something missing with Helaire, and I don't know what, because he's the main run. He's clearly the number one running back.
He's your main dude.
Best offense by most accounts in football, and he just doesn't score. Like, and it's not like it's a small sample size now. We're what, 20 games into this thing now with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just not there. I think he just is what he is at this point, and that's fine. He's like an RB2. Okay.
Watch him skate into a wild card and get a championship because Chuba Hubbard had 4 weeks while McCaffrey's out. Because that's the most Pritchard thing possible, right? Like, let's skate in on a wild card and win it to his broken pieces of trophy a second year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even...
Yeah, he had some bad... Man, he started... Rondale Moore over Kareem Hunt. That would have been helpful to start Kareem Hunt instead today, who had 27 points on his bench.
Yeah. I mean, again, you can't.
But yeah, I mean, it's
2020 hindsight.
But
he had 17-6 coming into that.
Look, like, this team, as the Chiefs go, so goes TDJ, and that's really all they're. I mean, that's kind of the sum of it at this point.
Yep.
Choops next team. Choops are 1-2 coming in this week. They look like they're proud. They are going to be 2-2 after this week. Had a pretty good week here. Hiller's looking at the Choops. What say you?
There's kind of some sauce on this team. I feel like this is a team that looks like it's easy to overlook, and that they're not going to be anything. And like, why bother even paying attention to Choops? And then they'll come in and beat you when you have like a not huge week, and maybe sneak into the playoffs. Like I mean, it's got depth. Derrick Henry continues to be Derrick Henry, super good, and he's got enough out of Edmonds and guys like Carson and Godwin and Diggs, where I feel like solid. Like a solid starting lineup week to week. And like sneaky good. We were saying early on that there's not a lot of teams that are like, is there nobody that's mediocre but could win? And you guys had a have and have nots opinion on that, but I think this is one of those teams, along with like guys like Watson that are like kind of maybe in that middle ground where they could surprise us late.
Nick?
I think that I look at his team and I'm not like overly. I don't think that there's any one area of weakness. But aside from Henry, I don't know like who else on this team really scares you. Like I think it's a good team. I think that it's like that. It's going to be that fighting for a wild card mix, maybe.
Yeah, there's not one area of goodness either.
He's a plus team. I think that if there was a definition, as we started the show off with, there's the good teams, then there's like the not good teams. He is kind of in that middle where it's like he's potentially really good if everything fires at the right time.
Okay. You remember the movie, was it She's All That? No, get him! Tackle him! Okay, sorry.
Oh, I remember that line in that movie.
Movie She's All That.
The classic line from William B.
Where like, it's the girl who's like, whatever, or the classic, like, nerdy girl takes her glasses off and she's hot kind of thing. Like, this is what that team is to me. It's like, oh, it's the Choops. Yes. They're adorable. It's like, oh, wait. Oh, damn. Wait. Chris Carson, Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs, Chris Godwin. Oh, damn. Like, this team's really good. Russell Wilson, the quarterback.
You
Like-
are Ariana Grande all alone.
This is the team that like you're like, oh, I got the Chiefs this week. How we go? Wait a minute, this team's really good. Like, I love this team. This team is probably the team I've
Whoa.
changed the most.
Okay, well that's leaning even way harder in than I was willing to do.
I
It's
love
like,
this team. This is.
I thought I was being generous. With
I mean, I picked
good.
this team as a division winner preseason, and I feel even better about it now than I did. Like
Okay.
they have Stephon Diggs, who was the number 1 receiver last year. They have Chris Godwin, who was the number 2 receiver overall the year before that. Derrick Henry, who's the best pure running back in football.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, who's always a top 6 or 7 QB. Like, this team is like really good, top to bottom.
I cannot wait to replay this like we keep them and replay the clip like we're a real channel. But like I can't wait to revisit these statements in week 7 when we do like the real deal or no peel.
I think this team's got some staying power. I think it's a good team.
Okay.
Fantasy football is life is next.
Mhm.
Nick, you are 2-1,
Explain yourself, Nicholas.
and you're gonna be 3-1. Off to a great start. Hillers, I was a big fan of Nick's team coming into the season. I can't remember where you were, but looking at it now, what do you think?
Well, I thought he was good.
Yeah. So you still think that?
Yeah, I don't want to, but
Fair enough.
I mean, the thing that strikes me most about this is he just has a couple of studs, and then he has that thing that so many championship teams have, where there's just depth, solid, consistent depth, up and down the lineup. So where it's like, okay, yeah, he might not win every week. He's not gonna be. You won't necessarily be panicked that he's gonna throw up, a 200-point week on you. But the team is so good end to end, and there's so many guys that I would be thrilled to plug in as a starter on my crap team, that I feel like this is quite an excellent team. Yes, and because it's consistent. Not because there's guys that are so terrifying. If he has any weakness, I would say he's probably a bit brittle in the running back scenario, but that's true of pretty much every team in the league almost.
Yeah, he's only got 4 running backs too, which not a huge deal, but just hasn't found the 5th. I guess he hasn't found the right 5th running back yet. Hasn't met the right person.
I had Hasty. I had Hasty as my 5th.
Gotcha.
That didn't work out.
Sure. But you've got Zeke's handcuff, so if something happens to Zeke, you're good. 'Cause you got
Is it
Pollard.
really his handcuff?
Well,
Is
I mean,
it really his handcuff?
well, if Zeke goes down,
Half these days, it's crazy.
He's
Pollard has more
legit.
points than Zeke.
he could legit be a flex guy, honestly. But like, if Zeke goes down, yeah, you've got him. You're in good
Yeah.
shape, right? Like
You're almost
whether
hoping Zeke
handcuff
goes
is the
down.
term or not.
No, that's a committee now. That's a full
Yeah,
committee.
whether handcuff is the term or not. If Zeke goes down, you're good. You've got a guy. You're
Dallas
fine.
is a committee now.
And Eckler, I feel like Eckler was finally Eckler this week. I don't know. Like, I feel like he wasn't previous weeks. Oh no, I guess he was. Never mind. So he had a rough first week. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just again just first week jitters. Like I don't know, whatever. Like it wasn't.
And Tannehill finally kind of had a good day too. So yeah, I
feel better about that.
I love this team. I think I picked you to win the championship this year. So
Good.
You're still in that ballpark.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to shift off that yet. So yeah.
Okay.
Any thoughts from you, Nick? I mean, you're no major concerns.
I think that if we were on a real podcast and we're talking about it, is are you concerned about Zeke? And I guess we have to see what happens tomorrow. But that's the question: is Dallas really a committee, or is it just they're trying to save Zeke for the longer season?
No.
Like, what's the deal?
Even if they're a committee, I think it's fine. Like he's been pretty good. He hasn't been like abysmal.
But that's the thing is he goes from being
he
like
has been, though.
a
He's had 2
must-have
games.
to like
he
a
has
good
been
running
abysmal.
back.
He had 2 games. He's played 2 games. He
had
bad the first
6
week,
and he had
then
17. He had 17 points in
Yeah.
week 2. That's fine.
Well, right, but which is the real Zeke? I mean, I know which is the real Zeke because of
Sure.
past performance and because the Buccaneers were tough and it's week 1 and I understand that. Like I get that, but
He's looking like an RB2.
He's leading in
far.
snaps by far. He's on the field the
Yeah.
most by far. Like it's just small sample size. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah,
Is he
yeah.
going to be the workhorse that he's been in the past? Maybe not, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it keeps him healthy.
yeah. And then aside from that, just running back depth is the only thing that I'm
And the final team here, the Gazebo.
Ugh. Oh boy.
The Rotting Gazebo, aptly named. They are 0-3. Looks like they're gonna be 0-4. Probably gonna lose to Dad Dicks this week. Nick, what can we say about the Gazebo here? Give us some hope, maybe.
Sure. I think that this team has the power, has the explosive players to be able to be competitive and to win any week. It's just, again, it's are they going to hit? Are they boomers, or are they consistent, or are they boomers? Like, I guess is the question. And I think that that's what they need to hit on. I don't know. It's tough to say to start off with like we're gonna start off 0-4 when the first week that you have, the first week is a doubleheader, and Aaron Rodgers put up such a bad game that affected Devontae Adams.
Talk about it.
So like half of your team, so you start off 0-2 because of one bad week.
Yep.
So that's always tough, and now you're battling back from that, trying to recover just to get to 2-2 just in time for another doubleheader. So I think that that's not. It's a long season, and it's tough starting off at 1-4. But that's just kind of the way our league works: is that you can fall 2 weeks in, and you're well behind the 8 ball.
He's 4 games back in the division after this week. There's a 4-0
Yeah.
team, and he's 0-4. So that's tough. Nick,
Even his, but even his all play though isn't that great. And again, that's because of the first week. So I guess that doesn't really.
Right. To me, this team is the anti-Patty.
he has the same all play as Patty coming into this week. By the way,
this team is, I feel like, is way better than they're getting credit for, and like a really scary looking lineup, especially with how some of his pickups and how some of his prospects have panned out compared to other people that were like taking some lottery tickets. I mean, this is a really good team that has had some awful things happen in the early go. And you're right. Starting 0-4, I mean, he might not be disqualified for the year, but you're getting damn close. You know what I mean? It's like real close at 0-4. But that doesn't mean that I would want to play this team on any given week. Between Derek Carr, and he's got just a huge. You could almost play matchups on his running back core, and he's got some real good folks. It's like Waddle is clearly like emerging in Miami as like a thing. And, I don't think Henry Ruggs has hit his cap, and Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams, and he's been a little bit underperforming because, again, that first week was a fucking crime to watch for those of us who like the Packers. But, I mean, this team looks strong to me, and I would not like to play them because I feel like I could be absolutely savaged by them. And he may not even make a wild card, but geez, I mean, he might. This is a team that's going to ruin some seasons for some people.
He does have the added advantage of his team of having a top tight end, so that helps fill in a couple of the matchups that going against most of the teams in the league. Is that if you having Gronk on your team might give him the edge in a couple of fights, along with everything else.
But watch out for Fournette, watch out for McKissick.
He's not one to go out and initiate trade deals. I know, which maybe to his discredit, but he's got Mark Andrews and Rob Gronkowski, and there are, as I mentioned, the tight end wasteland out there. There are teams out there that would give up something.
Dave, if you're
for
listening,
them.
Mike is thirsty for your tight end.
I think a lot of people are. I'm not just saying for me. And I sent him an offer, and it's not a great one, but it was for looking back on it now, it's not good, and he was smart to turn it down, like he was, because it, hindsight at this point, right? Like it was a good move. Well, he didn't turn it down. He just didn't respond. Period. So who knows what he thought about it? Because he's a habitual non-responder to trades. Step it up, Dave. It's a little annoying. But I will say, like, we've asked what we would do if we were somebody, if we were this person, when we're talking about teams, I would look to deal one of these tight ends, try to get, even if it's like a flex guy. Nothing. You're not going to get a ton for a tight end. A tight end. You're not going to get much.
Andrews. You're talking Andrews. Let's be honest. At this point, you're talking Andrews.
Probably.
So,
yeah.
What are you going to get from Mark Andrews? In all the league.
I don't know. You could get.
Who's he going to start over Adams and Beckham and Ruggs?
I'm not necessarily saying you have to get someone you'll start over him, but maybe some depth at the position. Like you said, watch out for Fournette. I think I don't want any part of Leonard Fournette. Like nobody wants to rely on Leonard Fournette.
I don't either. But I'm just saying
you can get somebody better than Fournette. Like you can get an I don't know. Let's look at the teams.
All I'm saying is look at this. He's got 5 running backs that all have scored some points and are kind of.
What about Damian Harris? You think you get Damian Harris or Mark Andrews?
No.
Oh, jeez. If you can get Damian Harris for Mark Andrews, then who owns Damian Harris? Come talk to me, man, because I got some deals for you. If you're looking to get Mark Andrews,
Ronald Jones?
Plus.
Ronald Jones is a possibility.
Man,
there's a possibility.
To get Damian Harris for Mark Andrews would be an absolute... that would be criminal.
You think? I mean, is Damian Harris that good? Like, has he been that good?
No, but like, we're 3 weeks in. Again, it's such an early season, and to have such a highly touted
11, 13, and 3, like he's not okay. Like, why is that so great?
Well, you know what the big problem with Damian
Harris? It's the value
is?
of the position.
I was going to say it's his running attempts, okay? Because it goes from 23 in the first week to 16 to 6, and you're like. What is
real? They were behind today. They were down today, and they had to catch up. Yeah. And when they're down, when it's a negative game script and they're down, they don't. Yeah. It's James White time. It's not Damian Harris time.
But that's a starting running back on a main team, so I don't know.
A Sony Michel maybe.
Roscoe, if you're trying to trade Damian, if you're trying to trade Damian Harris, come talk to me about Gerald Everett.
I'm just saying it's worth it, and maybe throw somebody else in there with him, and then try to get something else. Do the old
that's the thing is it's a running. It's a guy like that, and then something else. Because I think that's the thing is that I don't know.
Have to be. There's no trade in this league right now where a tight end can be shipped.
One for one.
Player.
Yeah, 1 for 1. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could get anything I wanted for Travis Kelce.
Well, he's not a tight end.
Are you gonna?
He doesn't count. He doesn't count as a tight end, Nick.
I meant it when I said there's no trade that can be made where a tight end will be shipped, because if you were to trade Travis Kelce, you would be a moron. You would have to be as dumb as I was when I traded you Travis Kelce.
Hey Nick, I'll give you Cooper Kupp for Travis Kelce.
Take it, Nick.
See, that's something that's not.
Whoa, wait a second.
There you go. See, Hillers, not so much of a moron after all, right?
I mean, that's what you're looking at.
I'm not giving you Cooper Kupp for Travis Kelce, by the way.
I'm not giving you Travis Kelce for Cooper, but I legit was like, there was a moment of hesitation where but that's what it would take. Like, that's the level of superstar that you're looking at.
The best player in the league? Yes, that's what it would take.
Anyway, that's our teams.
To be clear, I would also take Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
really?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe you should trade him Kyler Murray for Travis Kelce. I think it's easier to get a quarterback that's good than to get Travis Kelce. That's my thoughts.
Not a Kyler Murray quarterback.
Yeah, okay. I mean, he's quite good.
He's typically 30 points a game, which is nice.
I mean,
although so is Kelce, I guess.
Hard to replace. Yeah.
All right. So we'll wrap this up real quick.
Drop it in the comments what your thoughts are. Yeah. Oh wait, we're not on YouTube. Never mind.
Yeah. We are on YouTube. But,
are we? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
subscribe, smash that.
Yeah, like and
subscribe.
Smash that like button.
So my division winners, I'm just going to run through it. I don't know if you guys remember who you had, but mine was CTR, Choops, and Nick. I don't think I'm changing those. I think I'm sticking with mine. And the wild cards, I had myself, Hitman, and TDJ. I think if I had to, I would swap out TDJ for I don't know who, but I'm not liking. I don't know. I don't love TDJ this year.
They don't look real hot right now. They're looking a little busted.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Maybe Patty, because I mean starting 4-0, like
just because the schedule,
just because it's 4-0,
craziness.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just because nonsense.
He's got a head start.
As hard as it is, if you're a good team to be 0-4 and like show your quality, it's almost equally as hard to like shit the bed hard enough that you won't even make a wild card when you go 4-0 to start, no matter how bad your team is.
You guys, I don't know if you guys remember who you had, but any changes in your picks?
I don't think so, but I got to roll out. So
okay,
I'm going to say I agree with you.
I didn't love my team, but I hate him a lot more today than I did on draft day. That's what I'll say about my team.
We'll shut it down. All right. Thanks for podcasting, guys. And For Hillers, for Nick, this is me. Sam,
For
we'll see
Nick.
you guys later.